Hi guys, it's Erin. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. I hope everything's going great for you. This is the end of the year, and I really wanted to do a little bit of a review on the year to talk through what went well, what went bad, what I had expected last year. I did a video similar to this last year, and what changes that I planned to make I actually made, and then what the plans are for this coming year. So I want to go through all of it and talk to you guys through some of the good, the bad, and the ugly things that happened over this last season for me. I want to start by going over the 6 lessons from last year that I attempted to learn and see whether or not, talk through whether or not the changes that I tried to implement actually made a difference. Oh my God, Izzy with me. So if you hear jingling, that's my dog. The first lesson that I tried to learn was that early spring is my best season. It's my most productive. I get the highest sales mostly because everybody is itching and just yearning for flowers that time of year. So I went in on tulips. I bought 6,000 tulips, which for my tiny farm is a lot. And I put in a ton of ranunculus, bought the expensive ones. Yes, I still think that early spring is my biggest sales time. However, I had a few hardships that came with that. I got tulip fire and I got some really bad bugs that kind of impacted, it truly impacted my sales in early spring, and it was not great. So this one kind of ties into one of the negative things that happened this year was definitely the tulip fire just killed it. And I did not go in on tulips this year at all because of that. I probably put a few hundred out there into the gardens just for myself. And I filled a couple of crates so that I will have some for the flower stand. But I did not invest in tulips this year because last year was so bad. But that doesn't change the fact that ranunculus are still, these are ranunculus waiting to go out in the field. Ranunculus are still one of my biggest sellers. And they were last year all the way up until I got infestation of aphids right at the wrong time. They hit right when it was only a couple weeks left before their season was over. So by the time I got ladybugs in there and got it cleared up, they were fizzling and it was too late really to do much with them. But until that time, we did really good with ranunculus. So I learned that lesson, and I bought even more this year. I maintained similar colors as last year, but I put a lot more, and this year we moved them out to the field instead of this smaller bed that's up closer to the house, and hopefully that will at least confuse the aphids for a little bit longer this year. The second lesson was that I recognized the gap between my early spring blooms and my real perennials and summer annuals to come in. There's a bit of a gap in the season where biennials will fill in, some hardy annuals will fill in. And I went and I planted a lot more of those, and that was really good. They really did help span that time frame. I didn't have a lot of focal flowers for that little span of time. I had some roses, but they don't do well at farmers markets because they just don't last very long. But I did have a bunch of campanula and Sweet Rocket and Sweet William, and that was really good. Sadly, one of my biennial foxgloves that I put in, I had some miscommunication with John, and he ended up pulling them thinking they were done for the season, and I needed them to stay, but that's okay. There's always mistakes. I do stuff and I didn't tell him. I didn't explain it clearly enough, so I'll take that one. I do have a whole bunch of those biennials that I started from seed for this coming year that are sitting on the bench. I'm looking at them right now. I got them started. I got them all in pots. I have not got them out into the field yet. So in the near future, that has to happen. It's kind of a weird spot now. The end of December, first part of January, it's kind of iffy on planting things out. Depends on what the weather's going to be. I'll have to keep an eye out. I also need to get these ranunculus in the ground. Okay, the third lesson that I learned was dahlias are not terribly profitable for me. So I pared back, and I did, and that was good. I appreciated myself for doing that because it was a lot less work, still a lot of work, but a lot less work than in years past for not much profit. The problem that I found myself in, though, was that I struggled a bit this year with getting my succession planting done on time, and that meant I didn't have a lot of other focal flowers at that time of year, which normally would be like sunflowers or black-eyed Susans. I got them in, but I didn't get successions, which meant that I had a bit of a gap for focal flowers. I did still have dahlias, and they did beautifully, but again, they're not super profitable. They do pretty well in the flower stand, but not necessarily down at the farmer's market, for all the reasons that I talked to in the last video, which you can go watch that one again to get all the background behind it. But the gist of it is I'm going to keep with that, and I'm going to shrink it down even a little bit more. I'm going to do my dahlias up here in this front garden by the house rather than out in the field. I'll have less of a need to get them dug up and turned over those beds early in the season than I would if I put them out in the field. So that was a good lesson. I took it, I liked it. There was some learning curve that went with that, but that's okay. That happens with every change that you make. The fourth lesson that I learned was how important off-season prep time is. Doing things like making the bouquet wraps, washing buckets, getting all my seed trays clean, just the general stuff that you think you have all the time in the world for and don't do, and then it bites you when you need to do, when you're actually wrapping bouquets and you don't have any pre-made sleeves, that kind of thing. So this year, last year, I did a much better job of keeping on top of that, and I appreciated myself for it, and it did save me time. So I hope to keep that up. In fact, I spent most of the morning here cleaning the greenhouse so that it's ready in the very near future to start filling up with seed trays. So the fifth, was that the fourth? Yeah, the fifth lesson that I tried to learn last year was to work with recipes more for bouquet making rather than just ad hoc doing it as I go. That worked pretty well in the spring with my ranunculus. I had a color palette that everything sort of went together, and I have a similar color palette for this year. So I could just count, I need 15 of this, or I need 5 ranunculus or 10 ranunculus, whatever it was, and then all the different elements for a bouquet. And it made making those early spring bouquets really easy. It was great. That was a good lesson to have learned. It didn't work quite so well later on in the season, partly because, again, I didn't have as many focal flowers later. If it had all the sunflowers that I had planned to start, then I would have had a lot more of that. And I have so many different varieties of dahlias that by the time it's dahlia season, every bouquet is going to be a little bit different and everything slows down again. But that was a really good lesson. I want to try and figure out, I haven't quite cracked the code yet, but I'm going to try and figure out what the next step is for that. I got it pretty well down with ranunculus. What's next that I can make those recipes easy to build. So that was a good one. And the last lesson that I tried to learn was to make sure to take the time to take care of myself and my family. I fared middling to that one. I struggled with it a bit. It led to more burnout like it did the year before by the end of the season. And that's partly why over the last few weeks, I haven't posted much at all, partly because of the holidays and spending time with family, which is part of the self-care part, and partly just because I was so tired that I just didn't have the energy to do it. And I don't want to put out content that you guys don't want to see. So instead of making bad videos, I just opted not to. I'm still here, nothing's wrong. I struggle, especially in the winter. Around here, when the sun goes down at 4 p.m., 4:15, and it doesn't come up till 8:30 in the morning, it's a little sad. So I don't have the energy that I do in the summertime when it's sunshiny until 10 p.m. But I do plan to make another effort, a stronger effort this year to try and implement some more of those self-care things that I talked about in the previous video. The normal stuff, new year, new me, eat better, exercise more, all the things. But I think I need to just literally schedule it in order to force myself to make the time and not do something else in place. Don't fill that time with something other than taking care of myself and my family. Okay, so those were all the last year's lessons and goals. So now I want to go over the rest of some of the hard spots that we came across over this season and what I plan to do to change them. And then I want to talk about the good things that happened, because there was a lot of good. And then talk a little bit about the future. So we already talked about the tulip fire, which means I'm not really doing tulips this year. I need to give myself a mental break from that stress. Tulips are a stressful flower for me anyways, just because they open so quickly. 2-3 times a day I could have to be out there harvesting tulips just so I don't miss their peak window. And that's hard. It's hard for me to do. I don't have as much time as a lot of other flower farmers might. And I certainly don't have staff, and I'm not going to ask John to try and harvest the flowers because I don't want to put that stress on him either. So no tulips this year. Another one was all the aphids that we got in the ranunculus. That was really rough on the end of that season. But I've got a subscription going for some predatory bugs, some good bugs. So as soon as the season warms up a little bit, it'll be I'll start introducing more ladybugs and more mites and different things to try and combat all of that. Another one was I've decided weddings are not, like full service weddings are not my thing. I did get the opportunity to do the flowers for a really good friend of ours' wedding, and I'm grateful to have been able to do that, but that is the most stressful thing to do for me as a flower farmer. Despite knowing how many flowers I actually needed to do the bouquets and to do the table arrangements, I found myself hoarding flowers. Basically, I was not cutting flowers out of the field because I was afraid that they weren't going to be ready, or I wasn't going to have enough for the wedding, even though I only used maybe a quarter of the flowers that were out in my field that I had saved for the wedding for the actual event. And I did not need to do that. I should have been able to continue on, but it stresses me out so much, that the stress of it all and wanting it to be perfect, especially for a friend of mine, that I sacrificed some market days and some wholesale flowers that I could have earned more by selling because of that. And with that in mind, I have decided this year that I will not be doing any weddings. I may do some the buckets, like the DIY buckets of weddings, which is just mixed flowers in a flower bucket that the bride and her crew will come and get, and they will make their own bouquets. That I still enjoy doing, putting together what those mixed buckets look like. But I'm not going to do any more full service weddings. It's just too much stress. And yeah, it's not worth it. It's hard on me. It's hard on my field. And I'm just not worth it. So we're not doing that anymore, which I think will alleviate some space in my mind for being able to focus on things like succession planting and whatnot that kind of took a back seat to some of those wedding events that I did. Negative, again, I already talked to it a little bit, but the burnout is real. Again, just like last year, the between my regular job, my farm, and YouTube, it's a lot of energy that comes out of me. And by the end of the season, burnout, like most farmers by the end of the season are burnt out anyway, because it's just such a rush all summer, spring, summer, into fall, prepping for the next year. It's so much going on that you're just constantly in motion. and by the end of the season, I was tired, real tired. And I think most people are, like I said, but one of the things to combat that is the weddings, not doing that. So hopefully I can lower my stress level. And again, same as last year, it was a good lesson and I will continue. And the plan is the same as I already spoke to. Trying to take the time for myself and my family. And if one thing overtakes too much, then I'll just back off on that one thing, whether it's going to fewer farmers markets or already taking weddings off the plate. Those things should help. I'm hopeful anyways that they will. And then the last thing that was a real struggle for me was the farmers market towards late in the season. One of the big farms that comes from a couple hours away to do this market started undercutting all of the real local farmers, the farms that are within a couple of miles of the markets. They started undercutting all of us, and they had the quantity and the availability to do it. And there's nothing that we could do about it. And that was a real drag on the end of the season for me. I ended up not finishing out the entire season, partly because of weather, partly because of just not having the time, and the flowers were fading. But part of it was the undercutting, and it was rough to deal with. But like I talked about in a lot of those videos last year, we built the flower stand. So that is going to be one of our major attempts at trying to get by that, is creating our own customer base at the flower stand, working with some other local farmers to try and make that work. And then leaning heavier into the wholesale market. So I know that I talked about that last year, and we did some, not as much as I wish that we had. So I'm going to do more focused in that direction, and probably not do as many. Well, I know I'm not going to do as many farmers markets. As much as they are fun, and I love the people, the other farmers, and it's so great to be part of the community. Every Saturday of my life, all through from the spring through the fall, cannot be spent at the farmers market. For mental health, for just time, I have to have time to work the field, and just the undercutting didn't make it worth it after a while. So we're going to cut that back a couple times a month, maybe less, depending on what happens. But I'm going to cut that back a bit and lean towards the wholesale. So one of the really good things that happened last year was I did start to sell on the wholesale. My scented geranium was the biggest seller, which is good to know. I have a whole bunch of these right here, cuttings that I took. So I will make sure that that's a priority, because they are very profitable. You don't need a whole lot of plants to get a lot of stems. So that's one of the really good things. Moving on to the positives. So enough with the negative of what happened, on to the positives. So the wholesale market was good. It was a good learning curve. I sold quite a lot of the scented geraniums, a couple of other things, but it was really towards the end of the season that I got into that better than early in the season. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, and I'm looking forward to more of it for next season. Another thing, and I already talked about, another one of the positives was getting that flower stand built. I'm so excited about it, and had really good interest after it was built. I live out in the woods, but I had people actually come out seeking those flowers from our stand rather than going to a florist or getting them from the grocery store. So that was really exciting to me, and I'm hoping to build on it this year. Another positive thing from this year was just how amazing my CSA customers are. They're just so loyal, so wonderful, and they could buy flowers for cheaper from somewhere else, but they make it a point to buy the CSA and come and get their flowers, or come down to the market to collect them every single week. And it's just the best thing. And those are the people and the things that keep me wanting to do this. They let me be as creative as I want with the flowers that I put together, and they seem to love it every time. If they don't tell me. And then the last thing that I want to say is one of the biggest positives is you guys, actually. I said it on the last year's video. The community on this YouTube channel is just the sweetest, most creative, most thoughtful, curious gardeners that I've ever met, and I adore it. I even had a couple come down. One of you guys came down from Canada down to visit the farm and come see and talk about flower farming, and it was just the coolest thing. I love that. I can't tell you how much that feeds me, especially when I'm in the stressed out late summer part of the year. It's so great. You make it worth it. I really enjoy making these videos and sharing what I know and learning from you guys, and it's just the best. So I appreciate you guys so much. You are a source of inspiration and motivation for me, for sure. So those were the positives that I came up with real quick. I do want to, so there's a couple things for the future. Like I said, I'm going to lean more into the wholesale, step back a little bit from the farmers markets. No tulips this year, lots more ranunculus, and hopefully it all works out really well. In the next few weeks, this is the season. I'm going to start sowing seed. Like I said, I got the greenhouse all cleaned up today. I'm ready to go. John's picking up some soil for me, some seed starting soil, and I have got to do a seed order. Oh, one of the other things I forgot to mention that I'm doing more, well, another improvement that I'm hoping to make for next year is I'm going to take more classes. I signed up for a seminar on flower farming and making it profitable, and different strategies for marketing and sales avenues. So I'm gonna do that, maybe one or two more throughout the season. I just want to learn more, just like you guys want to learn more. I want to increase my knowledge base so I can react better when something goes wrong. I have another avenue that I can pivot towards. That's my goal for this year. And like I said, upcoming in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be full steam ahead. I do plan on making a video to show you guys how I plan out my fields, what flowers I'm ordering, and then I'm going to start my plant these in January videos and walk you through how I plant everything by seed. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a couple of months since I've really been in the garden, aside from planting bulbs. So it's time, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay guys, well, at the risk of this being a really long video, I want to just say thank you. I appreciate you guys' support so much. It means the world to me. If you like this video, thumbs up, leave me a comment. What things are you guys doing? I'd love to know if you're making any changes, or what the lessons you learned, if they were effective, all that kind of stuff. And then subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in a whole bunch more videos coming soon. Thanks, guys. Hi, Izzy. Always right here. And Winston.